Boom! Welcome into Sports Bet Betting Insight today. Pauly and Teddy, Monday, February 6th. Big game breakdown. We'll get to the Wizards and the Cavs, Louisville and Virginia play of the day, and we'll recap at the final segment. Big game breakdown of what happened in the NBA. We're going to start off rapid fire with the Super Bowl recap and the props in the second segment. We'll go everything Super Bowl in the first two segments. I don't know where to begin. I'm speechless. It was the best Super Bowl ever, the biggest comeback, the first overtime, Teddy, and this was a good tweet. But I'll tell you, the last year in the world of sports, Cavs and the Cubs down 3-1, come back to win. You had the Villanova win against North Carolina, the buzzer beater. You also have this Super Bowl, and you had Clemson coming back against Alabama. What a year it's been in the world of sports, Teddy.
Well, let's start with this. All right, it was a great Super Bowl only if you had New England. Okay? Wasn't a great Super Bowl if you had Atlanta. Wasn't a great Super Bowl if you had the under. And let's call it what it was, Pauly. The worst bad beat in Super Bowl history by far. This is the moose of all mooses. Let's get him up there. Show me the moose, because that was a moose and a half last night, Pauly. I still haven't recovered. I still feel like I have a hangover today. 28-3 in that ball game. It was over. Absolutely over. And then Bill Belichick went for it on fourth down from his own 45. Next thing you know, we got a ball game.
Yep, biggest comeback in Super Bowl history was 10 points. This was 25. 28-3 with 8 minutes left in the third. Let me ask you, how many coaches go for it in that situation, 4th and 3 from your own 45?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I would hope that most of them would, but again, this is the type of game that in the regular season Atlanta wins. In the Super Bowl, the rules are a little bit different.
How many things had to happen for New England to win that game? Here's a quote from Brady. A lot of plays the coach talks about. You never know which one's going to be the Super Bowl winner. There were probably 30 of those plays tonight, and if any of those plays were different, the outcome would have been different, end quote. First of all, you have to, 28-3 with 8 minutes left in the third, you have to shut down the highest scoring offense the rest of the game. They did that. You need to force a turnover. You need to knock them out of field goal range a couple times. You have to score and get two-point conversions. And Atlanta has to run some kind of a hurry-up, which I couldn't believe they were doing. Go back and watch the game. In the second half, how many times Atlanta and Matt Ryan were snapping the ball with 17, 18, 20 seconds left on the play clock? I couldn't believe it.
So, Patriots good or Falcons bad?
Got to be a little bit of both, though. It's a huge choke, no doubt.
Yeah, but in my mind, there were two plays stand out to me from that whole comeback. And again, we're talking about a situation where Atlanta was laying 18 and a half in game, where the Patriots were, plus 1,600 on the money line?
Yeah.
In that contest, where in the history of not just the Super Bowl, in the history of postseason football in the NFL, no team had ever come back from that type of deficit. So this isn't your average, everyday come from behind win. All right. Two plays stood out. One, after New England kicked that first field goal, it's 28-12 now. Before the turnover that set the whole comeback up, first play, there was a dump-off pass to Coleman. He got 8. It was 2nd and 2. And second down, all of a sudden, Atlanta's got a little momentum. They already had momentum from holding them to a field goal. And on second down, Coleman got stuffed, which set up the strip sack on third down when they tried to throw long on the 3rd and 1. Coleman gets stuffed. In my mind, that play on second down, when Coleman got stuffed, it stands out. The other one, of course, is the holding call on Jake Matthews. The ball's at the Patriots' 26-yard line. If there's no hold, Atlanta's going to kick a field goal. They're going to go up by 11. They're going to win the game. Instead, they call the hold. Ball gets pushed back to the 45. They throw an incomplete on third down, and Atlanta punts. And as soon as they punted, Pauly, as soon as the flag went down for the hold, did you think at any point? I didn't start sweating until the final touchdown and then the 2-point conversion. But I'll tell you what, I didn't like the feel of that game with an Atlanta ticket in my pocket. As soon as that flag came out, I'm like, geez, the Falcons are in real trouble here.
I didn't think, wow, here we go. They could win this or go to overtime until they forced the punt when it was 28-20. Because even when they scored the touchdown and Gostowski misses the extra point, it's 28-9 and they go onside and they don't get it and there's a penalty and that's tacked on. And they get the huge sack there that results in a punt. And then, you're right, they're still up 7. And the unbelievable catch that no one's going to talk about, one of the best catches you're ever going to see by Julio Jones, they are at the 22-yard line after that catch. And then they go backwards and they get the sack. It's still a 53-yard field goal. Why don't you run it? Then there's the hold. Then it's 3rd and 33, the incomplete pass. Then they have to punt between abandoning the run, not using clock, not making New England call their timeouts. I mean, everything has to go against you in that scenario to blow a lead like that. And you're right. Once it was 28-20, you're like, they can't get a stop, Teddy. They're going up-tempo. He's carving them up. He's throwing to White, Edelman, Amendola, Hogan. They can't slow this offense down right now.
No, and as soon as the Patriots won the toss in overtime, the game was over.
Oh, yeah.
There wasn't any question in my mind that New England was going to march down the field and get in the end zone. Atlanta's defense was gassed. They were on the field the whole fourth quarter. And for the game, they were on the field for more than 40 minutes. And that was, unfortunately for Atlanta backers, the penalty for their success was that they moved the ball so quickly against the New England's defense early and had the big play on the pick six, obviously. That was a difference maker in the ballgame for the first half as well. But all that time with the defense on the field caught up to them in that overtime session. I mean, they had no chance. The pass rush was gassed. And the success they had against Brady in that contest, where you sack him 5 times, where they hit him, 17 or 18 times in that ballgame without blitzing over and over again. The success they had at keeping Brady contained, that all fell apart at the end of the contest once that pass rush ran out of gas.
The plays, 93-46. 93-46 plays. Plays run in the game. And you're right, the ESPN stats and info, because of the pick six and the long halftime show, 68 minutes without running a play.
And it made a difference. Obviously. But, it wasn't like Atlanta's offense was completely out of sync in the second half. They had the one drive, and then it was odd. It was odd. It was just odd. They thought the game was won. Shoot, Pauly, I'm sitting there. I got the Falcons. My phone is blowing up. I got this text. Congrats. Hey, great call, Atlanta. The game is over. And then after the game, really sorry I mushed you, man. That sort of thing. I got a bunch of those during the game,
Well, you're not the only one. Mark Wahlberg left the game early. How about that? He took off. He's in the suite having a good time. He's like, I've seen enough. And he left early, and there's video out there, too. I retweeted it at Pauly Howard. I thought the game plan was strange in the first half, where why so much LeGarrette Blount? He also had the big fumble, and then they just, a lot of people thought White, well, I won't say a lot. Some people thought White should have been the MVP, but then it was a heavy dose of White and Lewis. Lewis didn't do much, but at least giving him the ball a little bit, but White with 14 catches. Unbelievable performance there.
Yeah, set a Super Bowl record, 14 catches and 3 touchdowns in that contest as well. Brady's going to win the MVP because he's Tom Brady. And when this game goes down, when they talk about this game 5 and 10 and 20 and 50 years from now, which they will, Tom Brady will be the guy that people remember, and not James White scoring the 3 touchdowns. But, pretty epic comeback, Paul. And, of course, we have all the props. We're going to run through dozens of props coming up in just a moment. Any questions, any interest in some of this stuff? Man, there's a ton to talk about on this game. How
does Atlanta recover? How do you recover? Teddy, they might not be in that position ever again.
It's Atlanta's not like the Golden State Warriors, where you say, all right, you're going to be back in this spot next year.
Yeah, right.
The Falcons are a team that got hot. They had a special offense. Things worked really nicely for Kyle Shanahan and company, but, they gave them the game. They blew the game. And you're right. You don't know if the Falcons get back there, They've been into 2 Super Bowls in 51 years. It might be even 2 in the next 51 years. It's not coming around every day. I feel bad for Arthur Blank. Of course, the Falcons now the team to blow the biggest lead in an NFC championship game and the team to blow the biggest lead in a Super Bowl, both in the Matt Ryan era.
What do you think of the Chip Kelly rumors? What do you think about Chip Kelly taking over for Shanahan?
It's the first Chip Kelly rumors. That's the first I've heard of it. Were people really talking about that?
Yeah, OC, yeah.
It's I don't know. I don't know, Pauly. I'd have to think about it for a few minutes. I would certainly be interested in Chip Kelly's as an NFL offense coordinator. I think he might have some success in that regard. The success that's kind of eluded him as a head coach.
All right, very good. Up next, we'll run down all the props, oddball props, what happened in Vegas. Not a good result for the bookmakers here. All hell broke loose with several of the props, and we'll get to big game breakdown in the final segment. All that straight ahead on SportsBit. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.
Go to SBROdds.com. Browse, compare, and shop live odds available at top online sportsbooks.
All right, back on SportsBit Betting Insight today. Pauly and Teddy. Follow us on Twitter at Pauly Howard at Teddy_covers. Switching it around just for today. Big game breakdown will be coming up next. On to the props. Let's recap the props. Don't forget Jimmy Vaccaro for the final time coming up on Tuesday. Nice call by you on Wednesday's show, Teddy. You said Gostowski was a little, he had the yips. He couldn't be trusted. And plus 330 in some spots. Missed extra point cashes.
Sure, but what about what happened on Caesars? Here's a tweet from David Purdom, who writes for ESPN Chalk. Will a PAT or field goal hit the goalpost? And according to Caesars, 89% of the tickets were on the yes goalpost, considered crossbar, uprights, and the support bar. And of course, got paid off at plus 425. Doink! But that wasn't the only one that cashed at a big plus price in yesterday's game.
Yep, and we talked about this on last week's show that was picked up by the New York Times. The coin toss, Patriots called heads. The books had to pay all those wise guys who bet on it, Teddy, and they steamed it up.
Yeah, minus 103 to minus 600. Everybody got paid. New England did exactly what they were supposed to do, calling heads, and it was the Patriots' call. What about the coin flip itself? You know what it was. It landed tails. That's why Atlanta got the ball to start the second half, because the Falcons deferred.
27 tails now, 24 heads, Super Bowl history, and the NFC has won 18 to the last 20. How about that? Falcons first quarter and under comes in, and Teddy, I mean, it's happened 7 straight Super Bowls. Belichick and the Patriots don't score.
No score. First 6.5 minutes comes in with ease. Of course, Falcons first quarter, they were plus a half, the under 13, easy. Second quarter, Falcons plus a half, easy. Over 14.5 cash there. Falcons third quarter plus a half. That one, that's a winner as well. The total pushed on 13 thanks to that Gostkowski missed extra point. But fourth quarter, Patriots and over by quite a bit, obviously.
Yeah, so I can't believe that. The Patriots don't score again in the first quarter, and the game still finds a way to go over. No score in the first 6.5 minutes, obviously. What was a scoreless quarter? 5-1?
I don't remember the actual number.
That was
I know that it was a pretty nice plus price with that first quarter going scoreless, obviously. And of course, the thing about the Super Bowl, it's not just betting for guys like us, it's betting for everyone. I was at a house party and everyone's got squares, your classic bar methodology. So the girls can play, so the women can play, I should say, in the politically correct world. And of course, 0-0 catches after one. I end up with 1 and 9, Pauly. That never looked pretty good.
Oh, jeez, come on. Team to score first will win. No, plus $1.40. Score in the final 2 minutes of the half? Yes, minus 380. Will either team score 3 unanswered times? Yes, minus 180. Successful 2-point conversion? Well, that was, plus 260. That came in, and obviously you had the try as well, plus $1.55.
Yeah, and again, the plus prices tend to be where the public goes. Laying the chalk tends to be where the wise guys go. I can tell you for a fact this was not a great Super Bowl for a lot of the wise guys. The safety didn't hit this year. The wise guys didn't get burned on that. The safety at minus 1,000 was a no. But one prop that we liked a lot, Pauly, Tom Brady throws a pick six, and a long pick six at that.
No kidding.
Defensive special teams touchdown. There was a ton of no money on that. We weren't the only ones betting the no. The yes was up to $2, plus $2 for the defensive or special teams overtime. And then, of course, the mother of them all, this is the one that sportsbook directors around Las Vegas will be called to task on when they go upstairs for the meetings with the corporate bigwigs this week. Will the game go to overtime? The bridge jumpers finally get destroyed on this prop. The yes cashes, plus 900, plus 1,000, and the books took a bath on the game going into OT.
I would have laid anything that Brady doesn't throw a pick six. It was his first pick six in a playoff game ever. I mean, I can't believe it. I was stunned.
I know.
Oh, it was a horrible, horrible beat. Will there be a score in the final 2 minutes of the second half? Yes, minus 110. Total fumbles lost over 1.5. Yes, plus 150. Total field goals under 3.5. Longest field goal under 45.5. That was 41-yarder. And how about this? I mean, you cashed the ticket because there were some 3.5s out there. You cashed the ticket in the first quarter if you played sacks over.
Yeah. I mean, total sacks 3.5 or 4. The over 4 was plus 150. There were 10 in the game, Pauly. Total punts over 7.5. There were 10 in the game. So listen to this. You have a scoreless quarter, okay? You have total sacks fly over. You have total punts fly over. And, of course, the game goes over the total as well. You tell me you have a scoreless quarter, sacks go over and punts go over?
Yep.
I'm not expecting you're going to cash an over 58 or 59, or even if you got it right at post at 56. I'm not expecting you're going to cash an over ticket in that. But, hey, that's why it's gambling.
That was the NFL playoffs. Favorites finished what? What favorites go 9-2 and nothing but over?
9-2, and then the overs were pretty close to that as well.
Yeah. Oh man, Matt Ryan under 320 passing yards. He had 284. Basically everything Atlanta went under. The offense wasn't on the field. Matt Ryan no interception, minus 140. Brady went well over 311. He had 466. He threw an interception. Yes, plus 140. I saw Brady first pass complete minus 250. It was incomplete. I also saw it was a huge price. Would Brady throw a touchdown pass before an interception? So big ticket there if you bet interception to come in first. But how about the Freeman and the Coleman props?
Well, when it came to Atlanta's props, again, we're talking about a team, they converted 1 third down in the ballgame. It's not like the Falcons had these long, sustained drives. Atlanta scored quickly, and then they were off the field. So, basically, they went under on just about everything. There's one over that stands out. Devonta Freeman over 54.5 rushing yards. He had 75. He also went over 39.5 receiving yards. He did score the first touchdown. Anyone who was betting on Devonta Freeman made money yesterday, anywhere from 7 or 8 to 1 up to 10 or 12 to 1, depending on the shop. But basically, the rest of Atlanta and the rest of the running backs, under. Tevin Coleman, under 40.5 rushing yards. He finished with 29. He was under attempts. He was under receptions. He was under receiving yards. Matt Ryan didn't run the football. He stayed under rushing attempts and rushing yards. LeGarrette Blount, 11 carries for 31 yards, under and under. He got benched after the fumble. If you had Blount over, that was kind of a tough beat. He was on the way to flying over the total, but then New England fell too far behind, and Blount was on the bench after giving the ball away. Dion Lewis, 6 carries, 27 yards, under and under. Only 1 reception for 2 yards, under and under there too. The running backs, not a good day, with the exception of Devonta Freeman for overbet.
Brady, 15-yard scramble. Who saw that coming? His rushing yards go way over. Julio Jones, 4 for 87, under and under. This surprised me. Sanu, 2 catches. 2 catches for 25 yards, under and under. Gabriel, 3 for 76, under 3.5 catches, but went over 49.5 yards. For the Patriots, Edelman had 4 for 87. He went under and under. Hogan just missed 4.5 and 59.5. He had 4 grabs for 57 yards. And look at this. Amendola, his first catch of the game in the first quarter was 13 yards. You almost got it there. Amendola had a huge game. I didn't see that coming.
He was lined at 1.5 catches and 17.5 yards. He finished with 8 and 78 and a touchdown. Pretty big day for Danny Amendola. And, of course, you talked about Hogan teasing you. I had some Hogan over in my pocket. 59.5. Yeah, he got to 57 at the end. Wasn't enough. Malcolm Mitchell, he went over and over. 6 catches, 70 yards. He was lined at 3 and 32.5. And Martellus Bennett had the one bizarre catch. New England had 2 bizarre catches where the ball wasn't, where the receiver made, the ball wasn't necessarily, the ball got deflected before it got to the receiver. Bennett had one of them, which ended up being a difference maker. He finished 5 catches, 62 yards. That was over 3.5, over 38.5.
Yep, 5 Patriots had a rushing attempt. 7 Patriots caught a pass. That was under. 2 Falcons had a rush, under 3.5, plus $1.25. 7 Falcons caught a pass, under 8, even money. And this went over. 2.5 players to throw a pass. Edelman threw a pass.
Belichick was pulling out all the stops. I was shocked at that play. I did not think there was any way that New England was going to let anyone other than Tom Brady throw a pass in this ballgame. But desperate times call for desperate measures. Even though it wasn't a success, the over cashed over 2.5 was a plus price proposition.
And they ran the play when it was 28-3. That was the third down play. Then they went for it 4th and 3 and got it, and they eventually scored a touchdown. The oddball props, the anthem stays under. I saw 2 minutes, 9 seconds, 2 minutes 7 seconds. Luke Bryan checks in at 2 minutes and 4 seconds. Giselle.
It's worth noting. Let me jump in, Pauly, because
Sure.
I know I saw 2 minutes and a half a second. So that line moved, and it probably fell in between the opener and the closer, because I'm positive I saw 2 minutes and 1/2 second as the initial over-under. So they took a ton of over money and then ended up cashing the under at the end.
They only showed Gronk once. I didn't hear them mention Trump once. I didn't hear lacrosse from Joe Buck. That was minus $3, yes. A player didn't kneel for the anthem. That was minus $2, no. And the Giselle, wild. I mean, that flew over. She was only 1.5 to be shown on TV. Well, with Brady's epic comeback, and she was going crazy in the box, they kept showing her. And the Lady Gaga. Now, the Poker Face to be the first song, that was opened up huge takeback, 7, 8, 9, 10 to 1, and then it became the favorite. Then they took it off the board, but we'll see how you grade it. Be careful out there, because she actually started with God Bless America and then went into Poker Face. So in any event, that's a big takeback if you had Poker Face to start with Gaga, no wardrobe malfunction. And it was like Bruno Mars a couple years ago, where he started with one song, played another song, and they paid off the other song as well. But there's some of the oddball props as well. You have anything on the oddball props?
Oh gosh, Pauly, no, I'm still recovering from this Super Bowl, man. This was the kind of Super Bowl that'll take an extra year or two off your life, especially if you have the Atlanta side.
All right, very good. Up next, big game breakdown. We got the Cavs and the Wizards, plus Louisville and Virginia, then the play of the day on SportsBit. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.
Do your research before you bet. Check out our ratings guide to see which books have the best ratings and sign-up bonuses. Open up several accounts and shop for lines at SBRodds.com. Always be ahead of the game.
All right, wrapping it up, SportsBit Betting Insight today. Jimmy Vaccaro tomorrow to run down everything, how the players did, the bookmakers, how they do, and the props that really hurt their feelings. He'll run it down beautifully coming up on Tuesday. Big game breakdown, as always, live odds, sportsbookreview.com. Huge game in the association, the Cavs and the Wizards. Wizards won, 220 the total. Betting market still refused to get the Wizards right. 17 in a row at home, 15-2 ATS at home. And how wide has the gap been between these two teams, Teddy?
Well, look at the numbers. Okay, this is since Christmas. Okay, Washington is basically their open pickup. They got most shops have bet them up to -1 right now. Okay, this isn't like a short-term run. This is now since Christmas. We're talking about a span of over 6 weeks. The Wizards 17-4 straight up. The Cavs 11-9. The Wizards more points per 100 possessions by a wide margin, more than the 3 points per 100 difference. The Wizards more than 5 points per 100 possessions better on the defensive end of the court since Christmas. Washington number 3 in the NBA during that span. They're ahead of the Warriors. They're ahead of the Spurs during that span. The Cavs number 14 in the NBA since Christmas. So, yeah, you can make a case that the betting markets haven't believed what's been very, very real. We're talking about a 15-2 point spread run at home, even with the higher spreads we've seen on Washington lately. Hasn't made a difference. They had the one non-cover against the Lakers where LA came from behind. That's it. It's been steady and consistent as it gets from a team that's playing way above their season-long power rating.
They actually relied on the defense in the win against the Pelicans. It was a 25-8 run in the fourth quarter, and they closed on a 15-0 run. They held the Pelicans to 8 points, rather, in the entire fourth quarter, and the bench had been a weak spot. They opened the fourth quarter by blocking shots on the first 3 New Orleans possessions. Scotty Brooks, quote, "The bench was a big part of our win. We were flat. We had nothing going. They got stops. They got good execution on offense. They got easy buckets and gave us a chance to have our starters come back in and finish the game off," end quote. And that's exactly what happened in the win. Good job there by Brooks. Now here's the Cavs after that embarrassment against Dallas. They just destroyed the Knicks. That's what they do. They had no problems in starting this road trip on national TV Saturday, Teddy.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a back-to-back wins and covers since the embarrassment at Dallas. But, I mean, they destroyed the Knicks, and there's the Knicks chasing them down in the fourth quarter, despite Carmelo Anthony and Porzingis on the bench, are combining to shoot, 9 for 30 in that ballgame. They didn't have Kyrie Irving in that game. He had the flu, but he will be back tonight. Though, anything less than full health is tough against John Wall, who has been the best point guard in the East this season. Let's not forget, we talked about some of those Cleveland struggles. They played 2 road games against winning teams since the calendar turned to 2017. They're 0-2 straight up. They're 0-2 against the spread, and they lost to the spread by 35 points in those contests combined.
All right, very good there. Up next, let's continue. Louisville and Virginia. Live odds, sportsbookreview.com. Virginia 3.5. 4 starting to pop up. No overnight total on this one, Teddy.
Yeah, the bookmakers concentrating on the Super Bowl, not today's college basketball total. So we didn't see any overnight totals in college hoops for us to talk about. Now, it's been a one-sided series. Virginia last year, they're plus 5.5 at Louisville. They win the game by 16. They're laying 5.5 at home against Louisville. They win the game by 22. They play this year at Louisville, December 28th. Virginia plus 2.5. Another straight-up win. Another double-digit point spread cover. That's 3-0 straight up and against the spread the last 2 seasons, and beating the spread by a combined 48.5 points. Complete domination in the first half of those 3 games, outscoring the Cardinals 94-52.
It's a hell of a program, and what they've done the last few years is great, and Bennett's a dynamite coach. What's their deal against Syracuse where they can't close it when they have a halftime lead?
Yeah, they had another weird game against Syracuse. Remember, these 2 teams met in the Elite Eight last year. Virginia's up 14 at halftime. Syracuse wins that game 68-62. So what happened on Saturday? Virginia's up 12 at halftime. Final score, Syracuse 66-62. Almost identical scores. In the Elite Eight, they won by 6. And on Saturday, they won by 4. Now put that in context, all right? Virginia, 76-0 when leading at halftime. They don't have to be leading by 20. When leading by 1 at halftime under Tony Bennett, except for those 2 games against Syracuse. I mean, look, the Virginia defense was a step late the whole second half on Saturday. London Perrantes, quote, "We knew it was coming. We knew they were going to put up a run. We just had to fight. We didn't." Of course, that was Saturday, and this is Monday.
I can't believe this. Louisville, this doesn't make any sense. They're 4-1 straight up and 4-0-1 ATS since they lost Quentin Snyder. They're 2-0 straight up in ATS since losing Hicks. Mitchell's been dynamite. How long can they? They've been shooting lights out.
Well, yeah, I mean, Mitchell's been able to get in the offensive flow as a ball handler and a scorer. He's got 100 points and 15 assists in those 5 games. But I do have some concern. Now, they've been great. The market's reacted to the loss of Snyder and Hicks, and that's a big part of the reason why Louisville has been so successful against the spread. But they had 34 made baskets in the win at Boston College on Saturday. They only had 10 assists on those 34 made baskets. So it's lots of transition off the steals. They had 5 blocked shots, 8 steals over the Eagles. They had 28 for 45 on 2-point shot attempts. Easy to get into the paint against the BC interior defense. And Boston College, no, they didn't have a blocked shot on those 45 attempts. So what you do against BC, where you can get the easy transition buckets, you can create the turnovers, you can pound the ball inside, can't do any of that stuff against Virginia, certainly not on a consistent basis.
What'd you think what happened Sunday in the association? All 3 games stay under, but some point spread hijinks.
Well, all 3 games were one shot at the end of the contest. I mean, it was insanity. You think that Super Bowl was bad?
Yeah.
I mean, the Super Bowl was bad. Let's not understate what happened in the Super Bowl. But when it came down to the association, I mean, you literally had 3 games, and all 3 stayed way under. No sweating on any of them. But Toronto's -7, they win by 8. Boston's -6, they win by 5. Oklahoma City's -5, they win by 6. Yeah, nail biters, sweaters, not a lot of right side in that one. Of course, let's not forget what happened in Boston.
Sure.
Paul Pierce, where the Cavs were getting, the Clippers were getting crushed the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
They were down 18 in the second half, and they at no point they hadn't been inside the spread since well before halftime, and then they put Pierce back in. He hadn't scored a point. He'd scored a point every single game that he'd played in Boston. And guess what? He hit the 3 to cover the spread. The crowd goes nuts, and LA gets the money, even though the fans who were cheering for Paul Pierce were also cheering against anyone who bet on the Boston Celtics in that game.
They let him have the 3 wide open. He knocks it down, and then they don't foul down 5, and that was all she wrote. Money time, play of the day. Where are we going, Teddy?
Come on. You don't even need to ask this question. We have the Washington Wizards on the show. They are the gift that keeps on giving. My number is Wizards -3.5 for this game, and I know the market isn't going to get up that high. Washington -1. That's game number 502. The Wizards -1 is our play of the day.
All right, there it is. Well done. Wild Super Bowl, wild props, more props with Jimmy Vaccaro. We'll recap everything coming up with him on Tuesday, and then back to the association as well. An early look at next year's Super Bowl odds coming up Tuesday on SportsBet. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.